Tired of flipping through the many pages of your adventure module? Fed up with losing your place in your well-organized notes while running a session? Does it take you a while to remember exactly what has happened since the last time you played? Have I got an offer for you? Kanban. It's super effective. Transform your boring and cumbersome adventure modules or campaign notes from this to this. Get to the information you need more quickly. Comes with a built-in autosave functionality, so you never lose progress even when the game crashes. But wait, there's more. Order right now and you can use the same system to organize your real-world tasks. Perfect for when you feel overwhelmed by the pressures of adulting. All yours for the low, low price of a like, subscribe, and a comment. Hello, my fellow adventurers in agility. Let me introduce you to Kanban, a different way of organizing your notes and at the same time running smooth and effective game sessions. It really is super effective. By the end of this video, I hope to have given you an alternative way to use your DM screen. So, Kanban. What is it? Quite literally means to look closely at a plank or a wooden board. If you've ever seen a task board that looks something like this, the team that's using it is trying to do Kanban. I say trying because many of them say they're doing Kanban but they don't follow all the rules. There are 5 rules to Kanban. But don't worry, ain't nobody got the time to teach you all the 5 rules. For your purposes, you only need 2. And for your board, it doesn't need all these columns, you only need 3. To do, in progress, and done. Now, if only there were a good surface for you to set up this board. Oh wait, look, a DM screen. We're doing Personal Kanban for your personal D&D campaigns. And it only has 2 rules: visualize your work and limit your work in progress. Here's an example of how your very own Kanban board could look like. If your whip limit is 3, make sure the in progress column doesn't contain more than 3 items at any given time. That's it. Have fun. Oh, you're still here? First of all, thank you. Let me explain these 2 rules so you get a better feel for it. Rule number 1. Visualize your work. When I say visualize, make it something your eyes can parse very easily and with a quick glance. What do you visualize? The things that are relevant to your game session. How many of you run sessions using prep notes that look like this? Word document, bullet points, descriptions and block text all mixed together with monster stat blocks, maps, and all the other shit that you thought would be relevant. And that's if you run with a computer or a tablet in front of you. What if you're going analog? You have printouts or handwritten notes containing the same information on one big sheet of paper. It's all well and good, but admit it, sometimes your eyes lose track of where you are on the page, right? Oh, what's that? You highlight things that you want to be reminded of? That's great if you only had 1 or 2. But what if you had 8, spanning different pages? I know I still miss things that way simply because it takes a lot of processing power to run a game session. You can't keep your eyes glued to your notes the entire time to make sure you never lose track of where you are, because then you can't engage with your players properly, change your music, grab a snack, or do any of the myriad things a DM needs to do. But what if you had a way to quickly, in one glance, see what you're currently doing, what is coming up, and what you've already done? What if instead of this long-ass document, you were instead looking at something like this? So this was taken from The Lost Mine of Phandelver, the adventure from the 2014 D&D starter set. Without knowing anything else, does taking a quick look at this board give you an understanding of the game? What has happened? what is going on and what is to come. I asked my wife to look at it, and in maybe 2 minutes, she told me what she thought was happening. There's this person named Gundren who gave the party a hook. It's probably the first session, so the players introduced themselves to each other. The DM ensured that a marching order was established, and then they were ambushed. At some point, the DM gave them info about dead horses belonging to this Gundren. Presumably, the PCs tracked the goblins to find something. They're now at the cave entrance, where the goblins are likely hiding, and the DM is in the process of explaining what the goblins know. Did they capture a goblin and interrogate them? Then there are the sections of the dungeon to be explored. These are the items in To Do. Now imagine if you were the one who created the notes in the first place. Your grasp would be even quicker. Your eyes would know precisely where to go and thus help you keep a good overview of your session. These sticky notes have two sides. The front side are what you currently see, but you can use the back side to write down pertinent details about what the card represents. For example, this quest hook from Gundren could contain the box text since it's just that, a narration. The goblin ambush could contain details on when the ambush happens, how many units there will be, how they will be positioned, what loot or info could be found, and a note about how the last surviving goblin should try to escape. Tracking the goblins can contain the mechanics of tracking, traps along the way, their detection and avoidance saving throws, and the damage they deal. The cave mouth card has some box text, and a quick note saying that there are 2 goblins who could be alerted to the PCs if they make a lot of noise. I traced around a standard sticky note to make these cards. I had to think about how to structure the information so that they will fit inside the area. This is by design. It forces you to recognize the most important bits of information and make it easy for your eyes to find the info that you need. Now let's say you were going off of the book and you were running the session. You take a break after the goblin ambush and you close the book because you had to use the table space for snacks and drinks. You then resumed your game 20 minutes later. You know your party is about to track the goblins, so you just go with the flow and describe what they see without opening the book. You remember you need to ask them for a marching order. And then, you get to the bit where they will encounter the first trap. Oops, your book is closed. So you have to find the page first, which takes effort and breaks the flow. And even if you had a bookmark on the page, this is what your eyes would open up to. What's the DC of the first trap? How much damage does it do? Which PC does it target? Let's say during the goblin ambush, instead of the PCs killing all of the goblins, they managed to capture the last one alive. The book says that if you interrogate a goblin, there's a list of things it can share with the players. The hint is also here on this very same page. Can you see it quickly? Will you remember this tidbit if you just ran an intense fight? Or is there a risk that you would forget, and so you'll make shit up on the spot for your interrogation? Or at worst, just tell your players, this goblin's name is Jon Snow because he knows nothing. Even if you remember that there's info, can you quickly see on which page that information is written? Or will you be doing the goblin squirms in your grasp, begging to be spared. He tells you he will cooperate, just don't end him. He says, let's see here, one moment. There it is on page 8. You turn to page 8, scan down, see this yellow highlighted box, and damn, it's another whole block of text you have to parse to be able to speak in character. Now imagine seeing a board like this. There's a card right there, staring you in the face saying, Info, what goblins know. You can pull it out any time your players get to interrogate a goblin, not just during the ambush. Did they go all the way until Twin Pools before stopping to talk? Cool! If you were running the book, you either had to remember where the What Goblins Know text was, Or you would need to go the long way around and look for the goblin ambush, which was at the start of the adventure, then see that it's on page 8, flip to that page, and fucking read from top to bottom. Instead, you have a card. You take it, you flip it over, and it shows you all you need to know concisely. So easy! Your eyes can quickly identify that the info is there, your hand can quickly pick up the note, turn it over, and get on with your business. This is just an example. This is how I would break down an adventure book. But how I would do it is not the point. The point is rule number 1, visualize your work. If your mind operates better with stick figures instead of words, do it. If you have a different shorthand way of writing details, use it. This is meant to be used by you personally, not anybody else. Imagine then having a DM screen where one of your panels consists of these 3 columns: to do, in progress, and done. And you had a number of sticky notes representing the aspects of the session that you have lined up. There's also the option of using a digital tool like Miro or Trello. Here, take a look at the Trello board I prepared for a session I was planning. Clicking on one of these cards opens up a big space where you can put in more things. It has the advantage of being able to write a fuck ton of stuff like this recap text, but the disadvantage is because you have an unlimited amount of real estate, you may end up writing a novel, which kind of defeats the purpose of making things easily graspable by your eyes. On to the second rule, limit your work in progress. Pay attention to how many things are in your in progress column, and don't just pull things into it whenever you want. Why? There are many reasons, but I would just focus on 3. The first is cognitive load. Imagine running a session where your players split the party 4 separate ways, and you decided to run them in parallel. In the narrative, the events might be happening simultaneously, but only one scene can happen at a time here in the real world, and so you would be switching back and forth. It's going to be much harder to keep things straight when switching between 4 separate scenes than it is when you're just doing 1 or 2. And it's likely going to be more engaging and coherent for your players too. Your board kind of also begins to lose its meaning when there are tons of things in progress. A quick glance at this board doesn't give you as good of an idea on the status of your session as the one previous. Second is time management. Multitasking is a myth. Say you have 10 factions with 10 different storylines that you're presenting to your players. Every session can only bring you forward a limited amount. If you spread your sessions out evenly across these storylines, it's going to take a long time before you get to experience closure and payoff. If instead you focus on running 1 or 2, you can actually get to climax sooner. Who knows when a meteor will hit the Earth and cause the extinction of the human species? Or worse, when will the scheduling issues rear its ugly head? We all know that this is the final boss of adult D&D campaigns, and many a group has been destroyed by its coming. Wouldn't you rather have reached a climax or 2 before that happens? The third reason for limiting your whip is psychological load. Story time. A few months ago, I got into Vampire Survivors. There are things you can unlock there by surviving for like 30 minutes with a specific character. I was doing one such survival run when the game crashed, and I didn't finish what I set out to do. It was getting late by then, so I went to bed. I laid there for like 2 hours, unable to sleep because I kept thinking of that fucking game and how I had unfinished business with it. In the end, I got up, played the game, and finished the damn mission. Fell asleep shortly afterwards. Is it just me, or does this happen to everyone? I bet I'm not alone. It's because of this thing called the Zygarnik effect. Unfinished business stays in your mind, and the more of it you have, the more psychological discomfort you will feel. Real talk now, my fellow adventurers in agility. This technique is not just for D&D. It's near and dear to my heart because it helped me get through a number of tough times in my life. There were times when things got overwhelming. Work, health, personal life concerns all converged, and I felt like there were so many things to do, so little time to do them, and I didn't know where to even start. If you ever find yourself at a point similar to that, try doing Personal Kanban for your personal life too. Make cards for every task you can identify. If the task is big, try to break it down into smaller pieces. Prioritize your cards in your to-do list. People in the industry call it a backlog. Each card you work on, you pull to the in progress column, and you focus on finishing them in one go if you can. Set up a whip limit for yourself. In my case, I limited whip to 3. If you encounter a roadblock and you're not at the limit, pull the next card. If you don't have space, you have 2 options. The one I prefer is to step out of your comfort zone and unblock at least one of the tasks. Often we get blocked because we need other people to do shit for us, and we don't want to be pushy. If you're in a bad place, sometimes you need to be pushy, or at least be willing to really ask for help. Get the task unblocked so you can actually finish something. The other option is to create a new card representing what is left of the task that is blocked. You put that in the to-do column in its proper place in priority. Then you move the old card to done and pull a new task. This just kicks the can down the road, but at least it helps your brain let go. Because of the Zeigarnik effect, you could end up carrying the weight of tons of tasks in your mind all the time. Sometimes that weight becomes so heavy. By writing those tasks on paper, you give yourself permission to set them down for a time. Since you have an external record of them, your brain doesn't need to carry the weight constantly. I know this technique helped keep me from getting crushed. I hope it can help some of you too. Send this to someone who might be feeling overwhelmed at the moment. What do you think? Do you think this technique will help you run your session much more smoothly? Do you think it will help you with your personal life, not just with D&D? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hey, I'm Jarek, a dungeon master with a hobby in agile project management. If you liked what I brought, please like the video. Appreciate it if you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll know when I drop the next one. Check out this playlist of all the DM tips I've compiled so far. Until next time, my fellow adventurers in agility, bye.